Welcome to our launch of Voices of Inspiration. I am Camila Diaz, your event specialist at Virtual Latinos, and I am honored to host all of these sessions with you, with the experts we're going to bring in these sessions. So, with everything that you just answered, you were right. Voices of Inspiration is about inspiring, about learning more, about just connecting with our community. That's what it is for. And how it's a better way to present what voices is than letting you know by this clip. Yes, okay, cool. I will continue.
Hey there. Are you ready to embark on a journey that will spark your passion and drive for success? Welcome to Voices of Inspiration, a place where extraordinary stories and invaluable insights await you. At Virtual Latinos, we understand the power of transformation. Voices of Inspiration webinars are not just sessions, they are catalysts for inspiration and personal growth. Join us as we invite experts from various fields to share their compelling stories. These aren't just stories, they're beacons of hope, waiting to uplift and inspire you. Through Voices of Inspiration, we foster a sense of community engagement, providing our VAs with the knowledge, motivation, and insights they need to thrive. These sessions are not just about learning, they're about growing together. Voices of Inspiration isn't your typical training program, it's an extraordinary journey of personal and professional development. By bringing experts and their experiences together, we create a unique space for learning and growth that sets us apart.
We have to commit to more than live, work, sleep, and play.
What's most important is to be able to find that limit, to understand that that's your limit, and then go just a little bit beyond. I've failed so many times. And this was why finding my why was so important.
These sessions will be conducted through Zoom, and invitations will be sent via the newsletter and on card. Don't miss the opportunity to join this inspiring community. Get ready to be inspired, get ready to grow. This is Voices of Inspiration at Virtual Latinos. Don't miss your chance to be part of something truly special.
Are you feeling inspired yet? Well, okay, so now let's start with the topic, remote living best practices. Today we have Ana Cristina. She's a psychologist all the way from Panama. She is great. She really knows about all the remote area because she's done, if I'm not mistaken, Ana, you do a lot of your sessions virtually. Is that right?
Yes.
That's great. So yeah, she's a psychologist. She knows how remote work is. So I'm like, you're the perfect fit to teach our community those best practices for the remote living. So Ana, thank you so much for joining us. We're thrilled to have you here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Cami, for inviting me here. So this is my first English speaking gig. So I might get a little bit nervous here and there, but I think we're going to do great. So if we can just go to the next slide. Thank you. So as Cami said, I'm a psychologist from Panama, and I'm also an entrepreneur. I have my own bakery, a little bit, far from my work as a psychologist. But I work with adults, and I have a private practice and Brevemente, which is a community that we can we go to the next one? Thank you, Cami. So Cami is helping me with the presentation because my computer is very old and it can't do many things at the same time. I work as a psychologist with adults, but I also created this community called Brevemente, which is an online community and a wellness hub where we explore and discuss different topics from a psychological perspective. We have 4 pillars. We like to talk about mental health, wellness, community, and fun. Brevemente means topics that I don't know how to say it in English, pequeños temas a lo que les metes mente, which means we talk about things fast and we think about them. Okay, we can go to the next one. So, just an overview about what are we going to be talking about here today. As remote workers, we face many challenges such as different time zones, communication barriers, and maybe feelings of isolation. Our goal today is to address these challenges and equip you with strategies to enhance your productivity, well-being, and overall work-life balance. Next one, please. Okay, so I just have the most common challenges we can face So we have time zone differences. Cami and I are working at different time zones, for example. We can also feel isolated or disconnected. We might have communication barriers, like now I'm speaking in English, but my first language is Spanish. And also it can be hard to maintain our productivity and our motivation. Okay, so I decided to divide this PowerPoint in challenges and then strategies we can work on to help us solve these challenges, correct? So our first one is time zone differences and scheduling. Managing different time zones can make scheduled meetings and collaborating with other colleagues difficult. And this is a significant challenge in especially this globally distributed team. So I read that someone here is from Honduras and I'm in Panama and Cami is in Canada. So we're all over the world. And here are some challenges that can be present. For example, there can be an overlap in working hours. And there can also be difficulty finding times where we can schedule meetings, maybe some difficulties in, coordinating our projects or working at the same times as other colleagues. And here are some things we can do to solve that. For example, we can use tools for asynchronous project management. For example, I love Google. It has many free features, and also you can use it in a way that it works in a different time zone than the one you are in. Other thing we can do is trying to find some time where we can schedule a meeting that can accommodate everyone. And other things we can do is sometimes we can't work at the same time. So we can use tools like Slack, Trello, Asana, that is for asynchronous communication and project management. We can also use clear documentation so we can maintain clear communication, everything written, so everyone can have the same information even if you're not working at the same time. Or another alternative for not being present at the same time or in the meeting is to use a recorded video like the one we saw at the beginning explaining what is Spiritual Latinos. Also, we can always use a detailed email and other things like the one I mentioned using Google Calendar or also TimeBuddy that works in different time zones. Cami? Okay, thank you. So, other challenge we might find when we're working remotely is feeling isolated or disconnected from other coworkers. Since many of us are going to be working alone from our homes and not in an office that it used to be the regular thing we did before COVID. After COVID, everything changed a little bit. And working remotely can sometimes lead to feelings of isolation or disconnection from your team. So people who work in shared office like we used to, they have this like water cooler time where we're just gonna interact and talk and maybe we're gonna go get a coffee together or just stand up from our desk and go talk to someone else. But remote workers, we often work at different times that we were talking about before and not with our teammates in the same place. So sometimes we're gonna lack that face-to-face interaction. And other thing is, when we're working remotely, there might be an over-reliance on this written communication, and we can often or mostly communicate with other people via text or email or some chat platform, and it might make us feel a little bit disconnected from other people. Sometimes it can be less accessible to get help from someone else because I cannot get up from my desk and just go ask someone. I have to email, I have to write, and then I have to wait some time to get an answer. But there are some things we can do to solve these challenges. So one thing I love to talk about is that we should try to include social breaks in our schedule. Sometimes we leave this social part behind because we think it's not that important. But it's very important. Like resting, we feel it's not important, but it's very important. So we can try to include social breaks in our schedule. It can mean if you can do something outside your house, even if it's just a 15-minute walk around the block, or in your lunch break, if maybe someone else is working in your home. Maybe you can share a meal together, or you can talk with a friend and go get a coffee, go get a meal. Not just be in front of the computer, like eating and doing your work, because we're not gonna get rested. We're not gonna feel disconnected from our work. We're gonna feel tired. And other things we can do is try to talk to someone while you stand up from where you're working in your home and call a friend for 5 minutes to have some human interaction during the day, not just through chat or email or something written. Other thing we can try, I think this is very common, try working either from a co-working space or coffee shops. So at least you're going to feel like you're part of something else. Maybe you're not talking to someone else, but when you're in a coffee shop, you see other people, you talk to the barista, and you feel surrounded by other human beings, not just your computer. Other thing we can try is to be more intentional about joining local groups or organizations. It's really going to vary from country to country what is available to you. But I think as we grow up, as we become adults, we forget this very important part about being in team sports or joining a book club or something that is not only in our house. I think when we work remotely, there's a lot of confidence and commodity to just being in your house. And we have to make this extra effort to go out, meet people, and that way maybe we don't feel that isolated, that sometimes it can happen. Okay, so challenge number 3, communication barriers. So in communication barriers, effective communication is crucial, but it can be hard, with the cultural differences, also with the lack of face-to-face interaction, but maybe even if we both talk Spanish, I'm sure we don't have the same slang. So a Panamanian talking to a Panamanian is very different that from, a person from Mexico talking to a Panamanian. We use different slangs to communicate. And communication barriers in remote work can stem from various sources and can significantly impact productivity, collaboration, and just overall job satisfaction. So here are some key communication barriers and some strategies we can use to overcome them. Sometimes we have poor internet connection or outdated hardware, like my computer, or unfamiliarity with digital tools that can maybe make more difficult this effective communication. For example, Cami and I had this practice session before this thing so we could use all these instruments and technology in an efficient way. Other thing that can happen is that most of us are very used to taking meetings and not using our camera. So we talk, and we don't have any face-to-face interaction. So it's very difficult to understand those non-verbal cues that are present when we're talking with one person in person. And other thing we talk about is maybe a challenge in this communication barrier is that diverse cultural background that can lead to different communication styles and misunderstanding, and sometimes conflicts because we use different tones of voices and make different things. And some strategies we can use or some practical tips for effective remote communication can be, whenever possible, using our video so we can see those face-to-face expressions and we feel more connected to the other person. Other thing we can do is try to use clear and detailed writing communication to avoid misunderstandings, to avoid ambiguity or any other thing. Something that we can try to implement in our teams is to establish regular check-ins, scheduling consistent meetings, one-on-one check-ins to maintain this regular communication and just have an idea of how everyone is feeling, if anyone needs anything. Other thing we can try is to be paying extra attention to our tone, even in our written communication, just to avoid any misunderstandings. And if you have any questions, if you have any doubt, we have always the option to call. And other important thing is to ensure we have reliable internet access, we have up-to-date equipment, and if we need any communication tools like Trello or Zoom. We need to have access to those things. Okay, and our fourth challenge is maintaining productivity and motivation. Staying productive and motivated without the structure of this traditional office that we used to be so familiar with can be challenging. Sometimes it's very difficult just to take these breaks because, you're already working, you're home, and then you just go on and on and on and on, and you can get burnout. Or otherwise, since we are working from home, it's very difficult to create this schedule and know, I have to get it and be on my computer at this time, and at this time I'm done with work. So some challenges we can face here is that lack of structure, that feeling of burnout, or what we were talking about, that we don't have this immediate support and feedback accessible like we used to have in this usual office setting. Some strategies we can try to implement to work this is, for example, having daily and weekly goals. Breaking down your task into daily and weekly goals is going to make those projects feel more manageable. And, every time you check or you cross out and you feel like you're done, it's going to give your brain that little boost of self-esteem and happiness and productivity. You're going to feel like you're completed something. So if you have this big project, it's easier to get it done if I break it in little tasks. There's this book, it's very popular, is Atomic Habits. I actually like that book because it has a very good, summary of how to work on goals and how to set goals. So I would really recommend that when you're working on those weekly goals. But if you don't want to buy the book, you don't want to read the book, it's, as easy as a Google search of how to get your weekly goals if you want to work on that. Other thing that is very important when you're working from home is trying to maintain a consistent schedule. That means if you have flexibility, trying to work every day from the same time starting and ending at the same time. And, trying to take your lunch at the same time because our brain likes routine. And if we teach our brain to have that routine, it's going to know when it's time to get to work, and it's also going to know when it's time to disconnect from that work. Other strategy we can try to implement to work on this productivity, on this motivation, is having checklists. Creating a checklist to know what you have to work on your day, what is a priority, if you're making progress, and also to help you stay organized. I really like writing my checklist by hand, and this has an explanation. Like we can do, technology is awesome, and we can do everything in a computer. You don't need a notepad to make a checklist. But when you have a checklist written down, it actually gets engraved on your brain that you have to work on that, and the crossing it out in real life, in real world, is usually more satisfactory than doing it on the computer. And other things we can do is, when you were little and they told you, like, if you wash the dishes, I'm going to get you an ice cream. The same thing. Trying to have some kind of incentive or set up a reward system for completing either a task or a milestone. This can be, a small treat or maybe a break to watch your favorite TV show or any activity you like. Taking a bath, taking a walk, making your coffee, something that gives you a little bit of happiness when you finish your task. And other thing we can try to implement when we are trying to work on this motivation, on this productivity, is trying to set appointments on your calendar for things that are important to you, because we also need this time to disconnect from work. We need time to rest and to feel like we have this life outside of work, even if we work from home. So sometimes our brain interprets that we have it on a calendar as something important, versus if we just say, like, I'm gonna go get an ice cream after work and it's not written anywhere, we might just let it pass. So make appointments with yourself to go to the gym, to go with a friend, to go drink coffee, or whatever you like. Cami? Thank you. Okay, so we talked about some challenges, and now we're going to talk about some challenges and impact on our mental health. You can go to the next one. Thank you. Okay, so working remotely, it has many, many benefits, and it's becoming increasingly common. Some benefits in my offer is that we have flexibility and we also have convenience because, commuting time, it's great to work from home. However, it can also present unique challenges that can impact our mental health. And understanding these effects is crucial for maintaining well-being. So, here are some key impacts of remote working on mental health and strategies we can use to mitigate them. Positive impacts we can have while working remotely. We have flexibility, we can have work-life balance because sometimes this flexibility may allow you to set your own schedule and can improve your work-life balance, allowing you for better integration of personal and professional responsibilities. We also have reduced commuting stress, eliminating these daily commutes and the honks and the noise and the tiredness. And so it eliminates this or reduces the stress of going from one place to another, sometimes giving us more time for personal activities. And also it can increase productivity because a personalized workspace or the ability to create a comfortable and personalized workspace can enhance your productivity and your satisfaction. But we can also have some negative impacts, like we were talking about, this isolation and this loneliness, or maybe this difficulty understanding where my work life begins and where my personal life begins. And also sometimes we can find increased anxiety and stress. And now we're going to talk about some ideas or some strategies we can implement to work on these negative impacts. Okay. So number one, I imagine you have heard of this, but setting clear boundaries is important. So maybe we can have, establish and adhere to define work hours to prevent overworking, to prevent this feeling of burnout, and to ensure we're going to have time for personal activities. Other important thing is trying to create a routine. Can you go to the next one? Thank you. Other important thing is trying to create a routine and trying to stay on this routine. Like the routine you had if you ever went to, a regular office job. But something that I really like about routines is that having a routine, it's gonna allow your brain to get a rest because things are automatic. If I wake up every day at the same time, my brain is going to wake up every day at the same time, sometimes without an alarm. Also, having a routine is going to allow you to have time in the morning or at night to add those things you like. I always tell people that add something to your routine in the morning that it's going to make you happy. For example, for me is coffee. I love having my coffee, so I wake up with enough time to go prepare my coffee, grind my beans, and make a beverage that I'm really gonna enjoy. And also having a routine is just gonna help you mimic this traditional workday and get your brain in that working space, literally, even if it's from your own house. Okay, next. Some of the benefits of working from home is that you can create this dedicated space to have as your workplace. So not all of us have a big enough house to create a dedicated room as our office or as our working space. But if you have that, I highly recommend not working in your room. Even if you can add a desk to your room, it's way better if you can work outside your room because at least you have something that tells your brain that you're going outside your room and not sleeping or not watching TV. So if you can create this dedicated workspace from home, it's awesome. And then you can add whatever it makes you feel happy. You can have, I don't know, a pencil case that you like, or a setup for your computer that you like, or maybe, because I like coffee, those things that you plug into your computer and then you get your coffee mug on top and it keeps warm all the time. But having this workspace that you like, not only do you like it, but maybe you can make it in a way that you're gonna minimize your distractions. So if you know, I don't know, that if you have a very interesting picture in your wall that you're gonna keep staring at it, maybe you can change it for something that just make you feel zen and calm while you're working. And also, your phone, turning off those notifications when you're working, because it can be very, very distracting. I know I can spend a lot of time on my phone. And other thing that is very important is this part about well-being and personal care. Sometimes it feels like when we're practicing self-care, there is something selfish, or there is something wrong, or that I don't have time for it. But making time for ourselves is going to make us better at work and at different facets of our lives. So when we talk about self-care, we're talking about, trying to incorporate physical activity into your daily routine. And we know the many, many benefits of exercise, and it can help you reduce stress and improve your overall well-being. But moving your body or physical activity doesn't have to always be about this strenuous exercise. Maybe just a walk around the block, or going with some friends hiking, or I don't know, every building in Panama has a pool. So maybe going to the pool with your friends, just trying to get some movement into your day, especially if we spend a lot of time sitting in front of our computers. And also, very important in this self-care part is sleeping. Many of us don't get enough hours of rest. And sometimes we feel that the only point during the day where we have, this space to breathe is at night. But it's very important to try, again, to create this routine and trying to go to sleep every day at the same time. So every day, if I keep this routine over and over again, I'm just going to get tired at the same time. So if I want to sleep at 10, every day at 10, at 10, at 10, and then every time I'm going to be very sleepy at 10 p.m. at night. And besides, maintaining my physical well-being and trying to keep this healthy diet, it's important to try to incorporate some wellness or some care for my mental health. And on the next slides, we're going to see some strategies we can use to manage stress and anxiety. As psychologists, we learn these many tools for managing stress and anxiety. And for example, stress and anxiety are not the same thing. They're very similar, and sometimes our body processes it, or it feels in our body the same way, but it's not the same. And one way I like to try to differentiate them is that anxiety usually lives in the future. What if, and then I imagine this multiple, outcomes in my mind, and then they don't happen. But I feel like if I imagine them, I'm going to have more tools, or I'm going to have an idea how to react. For example, I don't know, I don't like driving, and then I have to drive. So I'm thinking, but what if I crash? What if my car, I don't know, gets a flat tire, and then none of that happens, and I just got all this anxiety. So for me, anxiety is something that lives in the future. And when we try to talk about stress, sometimes it's something, I don't know how to say, punctual, a thing that is causing that stress. For example, we usually can find a cause for the stress. So let's say I'm in school and I'm stressed because I have a math test and I feel that I'm not good at math, but then I do my test and I feel fine. That's stress versus anxiety. I don't know if I did a very good job trying to explain that. But anyways, we learn these many strategies for managing stress and anxiety, and these are not a cure, for stress and anxiety, these are maybe like band-aids, but maybe they can help us manage these feelings. So for stress and anxiety, we usually use either mindfulness or grounding techniques or something that in Spanish is called técnicas de tolerancia al malestar. I have no idea how it's called in English, but I like to talk about these techniques as things we usually did as children and now we don't. Maybe like running around or playing with Play-Doh or blowing bubbles or maybe eating a candy are things that can help us manage that anxiety or that stress, because if we concentrate on the taste of the candy or if we are running very fast, we're going to be thinking about that we're tired, not necessarily about that thing that is causing anxiety or stress. And other techniques. So I brought this technique that is called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the idea of this technique is going through all your senses and paying attention to your senses. So your mind is here in the present, connecting with what is happening and not thinking about whatever it is that is going around in your mind. So for example, when we're working with this technique, we're going to name 5 things you can see around you. For example, I can see my phone, I can see my computer, I can see my water bottle, I can also see my light switch, and I can see my charger. And then we're going to name 4 things we can feel or we can touch. For example, I can touch my jacket, I can touch my computer, I can also touch my water bottle, and I can feel my watch. And we go like that for every one of our senses. Then we're going to say 3 things we can hear right now. For example, I can hear myself talking, I can hear someone opening the door, and then I can hear a motorcycle go by. And then we go to 2 things we can smell. I don't really feel like I can smell anything right now, but I'm going to say the fabric softener. And my house just smells like my house. I've been here all the time, so I can't feel anything different. And then we're going to say one good thing about myself. And for example, one good thing about myself is that I'm very organized. And I love that. I love organization and routine, if you can tell by now. Okay. And also, I was talking about this thing that we have different strategies. One of these strategies is grounding, and grounding can look different for everyone. What I think we can do if we can carry something that is going to help us feel grounded. For example, I have this little purse and it's very soft. So imagine I'm going somewhere and I'm feeling anxiety or I'm feeling anxious. Sometimes I don't want people seeing that. And I'm going to try to, calm myself or relax without other people necessarily noticing what is happening. So I can carry, for example, a small object that you're going to like, maybe a stone, a keychain, a piece of jewelry. And that way, when you're anxious, you can touch it and concentrate on it. For example, I really like cats, so that's why it's a cat. So for example, this purse is very soft. I'm going to concentrate on the texture. I can also concentrate, if you have time or the availability, describing the thing like this is a cat and it has big eyes and it has a mouth. But there's many different ways where we can practice grounding. Grounding is essentially just trying to ground yourself in the present. And other thing we can try to do to anchor ourselves in this present moment and to distract ourselves from those anxious thoughts is to, for example, count how many red cars are going through the street right now. Or maybe we can just count in our head from 100 to 1, or we can count skipping 2s. And that way, our mind is not concentrated or paying attention to the thing that is going around in my head. Is making, that pause so you can relax. Your system can just relax a little bit, and then you can keep working or make decisions or just, feel better and concentrate on whatever it is you need to concentrate. Okay. So this is what I was talking about. We have so many strategies for stress and anxiety, and not for everyone is going to work the same thing. It's, you have to try and see what works for you, because the thing with anxiety is that it can feel very overpowering. It is a conscious effort to try to get out of that state. So I really like this blowing bubbles or counting, or maybe we can get an ice cube and put it all over our face because it's very cold. And we're going to be concentrating on that coldness, not on other things. And my favorite one is having sour gummies. I love to buy sour gummies, and then I put them on the fridge, and they're very cold and hard. And I know that's not the point of gummies, but I love having my gummies like that. And other thing is washing our hands. What happens with washing our hands? We have to concentrate on washing our hands and the feeling of the water and the smell of the soap and drying our hands, and just be in that present moment, concentrating on what is happening and just getting a little bit outside of our head. What happens with anxiety is that our body enters this fight or flight state, and we know we're not going against like this big bear. Sometimes anxiety is just very abstract, but our body is working, or it's making us feel alert, like something is going to happen, or our heart rate just goes boom, 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 and our head is just going around. And sometimes we feel a tummy ache, or other times we feel these, like our hands are cold. And all of this has an explanation. Since our body thinks we are in a dangerous situation, it's preparing itself either to fight or to flight. So it's making sure we have, it's pumping blood into our hands, into our feet, so we can either fight or we can run. And it's putting a pause on all those things that are not important, unnecessary at that moment, like our digestion. So sometimes we feel nauseous. But when we're experiencing anxiety, we're not really in a dangerous state. So we need to learn how to manage that in a way that can help us get out of that anxious state, relax a little bit, and then we can continue working or making decisions or whatever it is that we were on. So just to recap some of the things that we have talked today, we discussed some of the challenges of working from home, maybe the communication barriers, or not feeling motivated, or feeling burnout because we're working a lot. But we also cover the importance and share these strategies that we can try to implement for finding balance. For example, working on this routine. I'm very pushy about the routine, trying to always go to work at the same time and logging off work at the same time. If it's possible, creating this separate workspace outside your room, or maybe if it is in your room or in your dining room, trying to make it cozy for you, trying to accommodate it for you, and trying to have everything you need to work like you would have in an office. Let's say in an office, you're going to need a printer and you're going to need a stapler and some pencils. Make sure you have all of that also available to you at your home. And we discussed these many strategies, also like having many tools like Trello or Google Meets, or writing these very detailed emails. So when we're not working at the same time or in the same time, so we can always have this information available and everything in detail. So everyone is working in synchrony and feeling connected. Remember also that we talk about this part with sometimes maybe we don't see our selves face to face, and having the opportunity to have activities like this, or speakers, or a trivia night between coworkers is very important to create that sense of belonging between coworkers and trying to get out of your house. I know working remotely, working from home is very comfortable to just do everything in my house. So maybe if I really like exercising, trying not to exercise at home, trying to go for a walk or for a hike, or maybe getting a lunch date with a friend, or just calling a friend, to have that human interaction and to trying to get out of the house a little bit. Also, we talk about creating this appointment for yourself, because sometimes we feel that that time for us is negotiable, or that self-care is negotiable, but we really need to work on our mental health, on our physical health, if we really want to give the best of us in work. And yes, walking pets is great. Dogs are great for creating a routine, because if you don't like having a routine, a dog is gonna give you a routine. He's gonna wanna go to a walk at the same time every day. I have 4 cats, and they make sure I'm up every day at 7 a.m. so they can have their breakfast. So pets are great, and pets are also great as a grounding technique, because you can concentrate on petting your cat or your dog and feeling how soft the fur is, or feeling their little ears and concentrating on how much you love your pets. I really, really like animals, so pets are great for everyone working from home. And also, remember that finding this balance is a continuous process. You have to be patient with yourself, and you have to make adjustments. Maybe you don't like the workplace you said, or you're still working on that balance that is working from home or trying to get out of your house. Just remember that every tool, every strategy is available to you to try to improve your work from home experience, and just trying to stay committed to your well-being and to your productivity. Cami? And now we have an open space for any questions you might have. So we love to hear thoughts and questions.
That's great. Thank you so much, Ana, for all those strategies. So everybody, right now is your time to leave in the Q&A box any question you might have for Ana. Remember, she's a psychologist, so maybe she can answer very deep questions too. And very important is that I left in the chat, if you check, a link where you can join. Leave your name and email, because we have a surprise prepared for you that I will really like you to participate. So go in the chat, go to the link I commented, and just leave your name and email so we can have a small surprise at the end. I'm not saying much right now. Okay, we're starting to have some questions. I'm gonna ask them to you, Ana. So Laura is asking, Ana, maybe it's off topic, but is there any sign to recognize burnout? Because in my experience, I realize I'm burnout when I have anxiety attack, or I feel I can't keep up anymore.
Okay, so I was talking to Cami before we started the presentation, and I don't know if any of you guys have seen Modern Family. And every time I'm giving the speech, I'm thinking about Gloria saying, "You don't know how smart I'm in Spanish." So I'm going to try to do my best answering this, but I did all my studying in Spanish. But I will say an easy way, or maybe a way, not an easy way, because everything, feels different for everyone. But maybe a way to recognize this burnout is, are you feeling angry, irritable, not only tired, but when someone is talking to you, are you like, "Oh, please God, shut up, no." And then if you're waking up in the morning and you're not feeling rested, and you're not feeling content, and you're feeling angry, or things around, this description, it might be a sign that you're burnout, but it's gonna feel different for everyone. And there's different things that might be affecting you. But for me, a way to recognize it is if I cannot stand anyone else. That's a way for me to understand it and start recognizing things in your physical body. It's usually easier to understand and recognize your emotions in our body. Maybe you're having tummy aches, or you're feeling like your limbs are numb, or you're having headaches, or you're having nausea. So things that are not typical for you in your everyday life might be a sign that something is amiss.
Thank you so much, Anna. We have a few other questions here. Another person asked, any any encouragement, I think that was a typo, words when our proposal. Okay, I understand that we should not think. Okay, so this person is asking when they get rejected proposals, because to be able to work for a client of us, they need to fill a proposal to prove that they're the best fit for that job. So when they get rejected, it's hard. If this person is explaining that it's hard to not take it personally, and it can affect their emotions. Like how will you answer to that? To not get affected by negative response or by being rejected at some point, and more in the professional, in the professional world,
So what I like to say to people is that our idea is not get affected, because it's understandable that it's gonna affect us or making us feel sad or discouraged. What I try to say to people is that we're not trying not to feel things, just to survive those things. I don't know how to say it in English. We are gonna feel those things, and that's great, that's fine. We have to feel them because every emotion is trying to tell us something. So if you're sad when you're getting rejected, it means that you care, that you wanted a job. And that's great. So not feeling it will not be my advice to say something. I would say let yourself feel it. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to, feel discouraged for a moment, for a day, for a while. And just letting yourself feel whatever you're feeling, sometimes it's going to help alleviate that feeling of sadness or that discourage. So, let yourself feel the things, and then sometimes we're going to have to do things that we don't like. So if I get rejected, I don't want to, apply for a job again, but you're going to have to. So you're going to have to teach your brain that you can get rejected and still apply to things, and it's fine because you're trying. So every time my brain faces something that it doesn't like, it gets exposed to it, I keep learning that it's fine. That, I got rejected, but I'm still here and I can still apply and I still have opportunities.
That's so true, Anna. Trying is so important. And any encouragement words too. Now I just understand. She was saying any encouragement words when our proposals get rejected. Keep trying. You will find that dream remote job you're looking for. We have for all of you millions of tips. We have the VL Academy. We have so many tools for you to be able to polish all of those skills. And I'm sure you're going to make it. Next question we have is, does coffee, this one, it's very interesting because I'm a coffee girl. Does coffee make anxiety worse? And what do you think of the movie Inside Out 2? Is it a good representation of emotions?
Okay, so everything in psychology depends. For some people, coffee can make anxiety worse. And for some people, it doesn't. You're going to have to try to see for you how does it work, and also maybe the dosage. So if one coffee is fine, maybe two are not, but maybe they are. It depends on the person. And Inside Out is not here yet. So I don't know. I saw the first one, and I think it's a kids movies and kids books are great explanations for emotions because they're very clear and transparent and direct. So basing my answer on the first intensamente, yes, it's a good representation of emotions and how we feel them and how they work.
Thank you so much, Anna. We're gonna answer one more question and then we're gonna jump into the surprise. Remember to go to the link in the chat to register your name and email so you are able to participate later. So our last question would be, I wonder what will you suggest for self-motivation to seek out for a routine, or if you can name one or more tools you find helpful to keep a routine, please. Really appreciate this information.
Okay, so for me, it's easier keeping a routine if I have physical cues. For example, I thought I had my agenda here close, but no, I write everything by hand every day. I wake up in the morning and I have everything written, and then I scratch it out or I check it because it's easier for me to have that physical cue. I feel, for me personally, that having notes on my phone that doesn't register anywhere on my brain, and other physical cues that help me having a routine is, for example, let's say I'm gonna see some clients in the morning remotely. I'm gonna leave my clothes picked out for the day because I'm gonna wake up and then I'm gonna go to the bathroom, get dressed, and be ready for the day. So that tells my brain it's time to work. Sometimes people just wake up and then sit on a desk and haven't even showered because, no one's gonna smell you across the screen. But to create a routine, we have to implement these physical cues to tell our brain it's time to work, it's time to do whatever it is that you're gonna do. And that's what works for me. So either leaving my clothes out or setting my coffee machine to make the coffee at a certain hour or having everything accessible. For example, I have a hook next to my bed where I place my purse for every day. And that makes everything easier for me to create a routine because I don't have to think about these details. So the more automated you can do something, the easier it's going to be to your brain to get it done.
That's a great way to summarize it, to make physical cues so you are obligated to make them after, and it creates a routine after time. That's great. Thank you so much, Anna. Well, now, as I've been telling you from the beginning, we've got a surprise for you. It's your last chance to register in the link in the chat because there won't be, we won't do this again. Just kidding, maybe we will. But right now, it's your time to be able to participate for today's surprise. And I know that Madian Garibay asked, which book do you recommend to improve our mental health while we're working remotely? And I didn't want to answer this one because one way or another, he found out what I was talking about. Because we're going to give away an ebook. And these are two ebooks. Well, these are books where we're going to send them via ebooks that Ana Cristina did shows. She sent me this. She said, Camila, these two books are ones that I read that I would like people to read too. So everyone that has been filling your name and email is because you're going to go in a raffle now to win one of these two books. If you're the winner, we're going to contact you. You're going to tell us which one would you like, and we're going to send them digitally to you, and we're so happy about this. So while I am making the raffle, Anna, can you please explain a little bit about these two books so people get even more excited?
I was talking to Cami, and she asked me to recommend some self-growth, well-being books. And I was like, Cami, I really like reading romance. This is very hard for me because I read my favorite time. But these are two books that I really, really like because they're great summaries or beginnings for these two topics. So money is important in our well-being, and it affects different areas of our life. So this book recognizes that part of money, not just like the numerical part of it. And then Atomic Habits, I think he also has a webpage with many free tools and things. But the book is a very great summary of different ways that you can implement habits into your life and also create routines.
That's great. And about the psychology of money?
So the psychology of money, I just love this book because we don't just concentrate on this numerical part of the money. He talks about how we make money decisions based on our feelings. Because again, feelings are information. And even if we don't consciously are thinking about our feelings, they're giving our brain and our body information. And it affects the way we use our money. So he goes into that into his book, and also he talks about investing and things like that. But I don't think that that is the core of the book. Is the part about your feelings and your brain having something to say in that money management.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much, Anna. Now I am going to share the screen. Okay, here we go. I have the names. All of your names are there. And we're going to spin. This time will be only one winner. Maybe in the future we can have even more prizes. But let's see who's the lucky one today. 3, 2, 1. Ariadna Villarreal, congratulations. Congrats. We're going to get in contact with you and we are going to send you your ebook. Can you say in the chat which book do you want? The Psychology of Money. That's great. Okay. Well, congratulations to the winner. Thank you, everybody, for participating. And see you next time. Remember you can get Ana Cristina's community of Brevemente. This is to scan their Instagram. And thank you so much, Ana. I think we had a great time. And now that everybody knows what Voices of Inspiration is, I'm so happy to have you all of here. Thank you so much for coming. Next time that you see this invitation, it will be about other topics with other experts. So don't forget to also come and see us, because we always prepare this with so much love, so much time, only crafted for you, our community of virtual Latinos. So thank you, Ana. Thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you so much.
See you next time. Goodbye.